Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, man, I'm back here with another banger, man. And today we are reacting to what happened to every member of the Nexus. If you're new to my channel, it's your first time seeing me on your screen, drop a like, subscribe. Let's get into the video, man, but drop a like so we can get these reactions pushed, man. Now, let's get into the video, man.
In the summer of 2010,
what happened to every member of the Nexus? To start this video off, bro, I hated the Nexus, bro. I hated the Nexus because, bro, if you remember, if you know, you know. The Nexus used to beat on everybody, man, and what made me hurt the most is when they beat on John Cena. I'll never forget it in my life. They beat on John Cena, bro. I remember 9-year-old me running to my room, crying to my mom while John Cena getting beat on, man. I was hurt, Chad.
In the summer of 2010, 8 rookies from the first season of NXT stormed Monday Night Raw and destroyed everything in their path. The Nexus was born, and for one glorious night, it felt like WWE had created its next legendary faction. But just 5 months later, the Nexus got buried at SummerSlam and became one of wrestling's greatest what-ifs. From commentary booths to Hollywood sets, from retirement to tragic endings, this is what happened to every member of the Nexus. Wade Barrett wasn't just the Nexus leader. He was supposed to be WWE's next main event heel. As the guy who won the first season of NXT, Barrett had the look, the promo skills, and the legitimacy of being a bare-knuckle fighter. The Nexus invasion was built around him, and his feud with John Cena should have launched him into superstardom. But WWE had other plans. After the Nexus disbanded, Barrett tried to recapture that magic with the core, but that faction died even faster. The company kept repackaging him. He won the Intercontinental Championship 5 times and the 2015 King of the Ring, but he was forever stuck in mid-card hell. Barrett left the company in 2016, frustrated with his booking and dealing with injuries. He took a 4-year break from wrestling entirely, working in the movie industry and just living his life away from the business. But WWE came calling again in 2020, though not for his in-ring work. He returned as a commentator for NXT and eventually got called up to the main roster. Today, Wade Barrett works as a color commentator alongside Michael Cole, and he's built a comfortable post-wrestling career. But you can't help but wonder what could have been if WWE had just pulled the trigger on him as a...
Disrespect, bro. Throwing water in John Cena's face like that, man. That's why your career ain't go nowhere. You try to play the role of the villain. You should try to be the hero.
World champion back in 2010. But while Barrett got a second chance, this next Nexus member found success in a completely different industry. While other members got kicked out or injured, David Otunga survived every iteration of the group, from the original Nexus under Barrett to the new Nexus under CM Punk. Before WWE, Otunga graduated from Harvard Law School and worked at one of America's most prestigious law firms. He also appeared on a VH1 reality show where he finished 3rd. That reality TV appearance caught WWE's attention, and they signed him to a developmental deal in 2008. By 2010, he was part of the first NXT season and became the runner-up, which earned him a spot in the Nexus. After the Nexus died, Otunga became a generic heel who flexed his muscles and drank protein shakes while acting as John Laurinaitis' legal advisor. What made Otunga more famous than his wrestling was his personal life. He was engaged to Oscar-winning singer Jennifer Hudson for nearly a decade, and they had a son together before splitting in 2017. WWE eventually moved Otunga.
David Otunga had a son with Jennifer Hudson? Chad, was I living under a rock or something, bro? David Otunga had a kid with Jennifer Hudson. What is the age range right here, man? Hold on, man. We gotta see that. We gotta see how old is David Otunga? 45? Really? He's 45. Damn, they should be about the same. Wow, that's crazy, bro. I didn't know David Otunga was that old, bro. That's crazy.
Otunga to the commentary team and pre-show panel. His wrestling days ended around 2015, and by 2020, his WWE run was officially over. But unlike most wrestlers, Otunga had other options. Today, David Otunga works as an actor in Hollywood and runs a YouTube channel where he talks about his pro wrestling career. He's leveraging his Harvard law degree, his WWE name recognition, and his Hollywood connections to build a career outside wrestling. He's not a wrestling legend, but he's financially secure and doing what he wants. However, while Otunga escaped wrestling relatively unscathed, this next Nexus member stuck with the company for a decade and became the ultimate jobber. Heath Slater was the Nexus's comedic relief and one half of the tag team champions with Justin Gabriel. After the Nexus fell apart, Slater joined the core with Barrett, but that faction died within months. Then came the three-man band era with Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal, three comedy jobbers playing air guitar. It was entertaining, but it killed any credibility Slater had left. WWE kept Slater around because he was willing to lose to everyone. But despite being a perpetual loser, Slater became weirdly beloved by fans. His storyline in 2016 was genuinely hilarious, and his tag team run with Rhino actually got over. Slater stayed loyal to WWE for over a decade, doing whatever they asked. But in 2020, after 10 years of service, Slater was just another name on the budget cut list. After WWE, Slater hit the independent circuit and eventually signed with Impact Wrestling, where he's been working regularly.
Oh, nah, I ain't gonna lie, Chad. If you leave WWE and go to Impact Wrestling, you fell off, gang. I don't care what nobody say, bro. He fell off, bro. GG's in the chat, man. Wrap it up, bro. Yeah, that's that, bro. He left WWE to go to Impact Wrestling, bro. He fell off for real, bro. So far, everybody fell off from the Nexus except David Otunga. David Otunga, he get my applause, bro.
Since 2020. He's still entertaining, still making fans laugh, but you can't help but wonder what his career would have looked like if WWE had ever taken him seriously.
Nah.
But while Slater spent a decade jobbing, this next Nexus member became the biggest star to ever come out of the faction. Here's the wild part about Daniel Bryan's Nexus story. He was technically the first member eliminated, and it had nothing to do with storyline. During the Nexus's debut attack on Raw, Bryan strangled ring announcer Justin Roberts with his own tie, and WWE's sponsors absolutely lost their minds. Within days, Bryan was fired from the company for being too violent. But let's back up. Bryan didn't need the Nexus. By 2010, he was already
Wait, how did he come back then?
The most respected independent wrestler in the world. Ring of Honor, PWG, Japan. Bryan had done it all and earned his reputation as one of the best technical wrestlers alive. WWE signing him to NXT felt like a formality, like they were finally acknowledging what everyone already knew.
Hey, chat, for the record, like, wrestling isn't fake. Wait, hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, so boom. I actually used to work with this wrestler, chat. Like, he did exactly what Daniel Bryan did. He was an indie wrestler, like, in Japan and all these other places, bro. And, okay, so maybe with the WWE, it is a little scripted. But I know all their fights is scripted because the dude who I work with, he actually was in the WWE. I forgot his name, bro. I forgot his name, bro. But he said he was in the WWE, so I was like, I told him, I was like, straight up, bro, you know I gotta ask you, bro. So, like, is it fake or is it real? Me, in my head, I'm thinking it's not fake. I just want to hear what he's gonna say. But he said that none of the matches that he ever fought were fake. Like, he said they trained for this, and you kind of let people do moves on you, and you kind of have, like, they give you a limit, a match limit, like a time limit, and there's certain cues that they'll throw out in order to, you feel me, decide who win, that the people throw out in the crowd and something like that. And that's how they decide who win, you feel me? That's how they decide it go. And if you go too long, then you could potentially lose your job. So take the L, my boy. If Buddy catch you with his finisher, just take the L, bro. GG's.
Nexus firing could have ended his career before it started, but instead it made him more valuable. He returned at SummerSlam against the Nexus, then moved on to bigger things. And by bigger things, I mean he became the biggest underdog story in modern wrestling history. Bryan's run after the Nexus is legendary. United States champion, world heavyweight champion, tag team champion with Kane. But the real magic happened at WrestleMania, when Bryan defeated Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton in one night to win the World Heavyweight Championship. But then came the tragedy. Bryan had to retire in 2016 due to concussion issues, and it looked like his in-ring career was over. However, 2 years later, the company medically cleared him, and Bryan returned to massive fanfare. He turned heel, won the WWE Championship again, and proved he could still go at the highest level. WWE released Bryan in 2021 when his contract expired, and he immediately signed with AEW as Bryan Danielson. He had incredible matches.
Oh man, Daniel Bryan, bro, wrap it up, man. I don't care what legacy you left, bro. After you leave WWE and go to AEW or Impact Wrestling, all these other, it's over. Everything you did back then, all the great stuff you did, is over.
With Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, MJF, and basically everyone on the roster.
Who are
Out
these
of
people?
everyone in the Nexus, Bryan became the biggest star by a mile. He's a future Hall of Famer, a multiple-time world champion, and proof that getting fired might be the best thing that ever happens to your career. After his Nexus elimination, Darren Young floated around WWE's undercard for years without a clear direction. But then something clicked. He teamed up with Titus O'Neil to form the Primetime Players, and suddenly, Young had a purpose. They were a fun babyface tag team with great chemistry, and they actually got over with the crowd. Then came the moment that defined Young's legacy outside the ring. In August 2013, while being interviewed by TMZ, Young casually came out as gay. WWE tried to capitalize.
What? He what? He what?
Capitalize on Young's story by Young casually came out as gay.
What? Look at. Oh man, Darren Young, you took the biggest L out of all the Nexus, bro. Not gonna hold you, bro, and I'm not gonna elaborate on why. If you know, you know.
WWE tried to capitalize on Young's story by pairing him with Bob Backlund, but it never led to anything meaningful. Young got some mid-card feuds and a few wins, but Vince never pulled the trigger on giving him a serious push. By 2017, Young's WWE run was coming to an end. He'd been around for 7 years, but never broke through to the next level. After WWE, Young worked the independent circuit and New Japan sporadically. He reunited with former Nexus members Michael
Alright, man, I'm sorry for pausing, bro. His career's over, bro. Wrap it up.
And Justin Gabriel for Chikara's King of Trios tournament in 2018, which was a fun nostalgia moment. He's made occasional appearances here and there, but Young has largely stepped away from full-time wrestling. But while Young's wrestling career fizzled out quietly, this next Nexus member had one of the most tragic family legacies in wrestling history. Imagine being the son of Mr. Perfect and the grandson of Larry the Axe Hennig, and WWE names you Michael McGillicuddy. McGillicuddy wasn't part of the original Nexus invasion. He joined later in October 2010 alongside Husky Harris when CM Punk started taking over the group. By then, the Nexus had already lost most of its momentum after the SummerSlam disaster, so McGillicuddy was essentially joining a sinking ship. After the Nexus finally disbanded in 2011, WWE did McGillicuddy no favors. He floated around doing absolutely nothing for 2 years until they finally changed his name to Curtis Axel in 2013. It was better than McGillicuddy, but it also put enormous pressure on him to live up to the Hennig legacy. Axel got paired with Paul Heyman, which should have been a career-making move. Heyman was managing CM Punk at the time, and when Punk left, Axel became the new Paul Heyman guy. He won the Intercontinental Championship in 2013 and had a decent run, but let's be honest, he was always just a placeholder until Brock Lesnar showed up. The moment Lesnar returned, Axel became irrelevant again. But here's where things got weird. Axel became a cult favorite for all the wrong reasons. In 2015, he entered the Royal Rumble and never got officially eliminated, so he spent weeks claiming he was still in the match. Axel spent the rest of his run in comedy jobber acts before the company finally released him in April 2020. The Hennig name should have guaranteed him a push, but the company never believed in him as a top guy. After WWE, Axel returned to using his real name, Joe Hennig, and worked the independent circuit, but nothing major. His career proves that a wrestling legacy...
Y'all know what time it is. Time to wrap it up, bro. He started no, bro. GG's in the chat, man. Curtis Axel. This is a disappointing career, bro. If I'm not mistaken, I think his highest overall in any of the WWE games was like a 74, bro. Not gonna hold you, bro. Wrap it up.
Can be both a blessing and a curse. He got opportunities because of his last name, but he also spent his entire career being compared to his Hall of Fame father. Sometimes being the son of Mr. Perfect means you'll never be perfect enough. However, while Axel struggled with his family legacy, this next Nexus member had a completely different family curse that ended in tragedy. After getting punted by Randy Orton, Vince sent Husky Harris back to developmental in 2011, and it looked like his main roster career was over before it started. But then, something incredible happened. Down in FCW, Rotunda completely reinvented himself as Bray Wyatt, a swamp cult leader with a horror movie aesthetic and the most captivating promos in wrestling. The Wyatt family debuted in 2013, and it was clear that WWE had something special on their hands. Bray Wyatt became one of the most creative and compelling characters in wrestling history.
Facts.
He feuded with John Cena, The Undertaker, and Daniel Bryan.
Bro,
he won the WWE.
He feuded with The Undertaker. He feuded with The Undertaker. Long live Bray Wyatt, man. Bray Wyatt was actually a great champion, bro. So I ain't gonna lie. I put him over Daniel Bryan. Yeah. I put him over Daniel Bryan. He was better.
And became a main event star, proving that his Husky Harris days were just a bad dream. Then came The Fiend in 2019, and Bray took things to another level entirely. Wyatt won the Universal Championship, and it felt like he was just getting started. But here's where things fell apart. WWE absolutely butchered the Fiend character with awful booking. The Hell in a Cell match against Seth Rollins was a disaster. The WrestleMania loss to Randy Orton made no sense. The company released Wyatt in July 2021, shocking the entire wrestling world. Wyatt eventually returned in October 2022 to massive fanfare, and fans were thrilled to see him back. He was working on a new character with Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six, and it looked like WWE was finally going to let him cook. But then came the tragedy. On August 24, 2023, Bray Wyatt died suddenly at the age of 36 from a heart attack. The wrestling world was devastated. The company held a tribute show, and wrestlers from every promotion paid their respects to a man who changed wrestling with his creativity and character work. Today, Bray Wyatt's legacy lives on through his family. Wyatt is remembered as one of the most creative minds wrestling has ever seen. But while Wyatt's story ended in heartbreak, this next Nexus member's story is one of ego, bitterness, and burning every bridge imaginable. Skip Sheffield was the Nexus's muscle, a bit...
Did Buddy just say Skip Sheffield? Skip Sheffield? Ryback's real name was Skip Sheffield. What? Skip Sheffield? Ryback was one of my favorite wrestlers, though. I ain't gonna lie. I wish he could have been better than what he was, but he wasn't, bro. I wish Ryback was.
Powerful guy who was supposed to be the enforcer of the group. He had the look, he had the intensity, and for about 2 months, it seemed like he'd be a key part of the Nexus's dominance. But then, in August 2010, Sheffield broke his ankle during a live event, and his Nexus run was over before it really started. He was out of action.
Bro, I'm sorry for pausing, but Rick Sheffield, bro, that's literally like the same as Plankton name being Sheldon, bro. Rick Sheffield, what's his name, bro? Yo. Nah, Ryback was definitely on the roids, though. He was overly huge.
For nearly 2 years, and by the time he returned, the Nexus was long dead. But WWE wasn't done with Skip Sheffield. In 2012, he returned with a complete repackage as Ryback, a bald, singlet-wearing monster who looked and wrestled exactly like Goldberg. The comparisons were impossible to ignore, and Vince leaned into it hard. Ryback went on an undefeated streak, squashing jobbers in under a minute while the crowd ate it up. Ryback got massively over as a babyface. By late 2012, he was challenging CM Punk for the WWE Championship at Hell in a Cell, and it genuinely felt like Ryback might win the title. The company had lightning in a bottle with Ryback's momentum, and they just let it die. After his streak ended, Ryback bounced between heel and face turns that nobody cared about. He won the Intercontinental Championship in 2015, but it felt like a consolation prize. Behind the scenes, Ryback was becoming increasingly frustrated with his booking, his pay structure, and the company's creative direction. He started speaking out about wrestler salaries and how WWE treats its talent, which didn't endear him to management. In 2016, Ryback's contract expired, and instead of re-signing, he walked away. But here's the thing. Ryback didn't just leave quietly. He spent the next several years ranting on podcasts, YouTube videos, and social media about how WWE screwed him over, how John Cena buried the Nexus, how creative had no idea what they were doing. Some of his points were valid, but the constant complaining made him look bitter and difficult to work with. After WWE, Ryback...
Hey, them boys said Ryback was bad for business chats.
...worked some independent shows, but his run was short.
That's it. That's it, bro. Ryback, come on, man. I used to love Ryback, bro, but after hearing that, bro, it's over.
Lived. Today, Ryback runs a supplement company and hosts a podcast where he still complains about WWE years after leaving. But while Ryback spent years complaining about missed opportunities, this next Nexus member quietly built a respectable career away from the spotlight. Justin Gabriel was the Nexus's resident high flyer. After the Nexus and core fell apart, Gabriel spent the next few years floating around the lower card, occasionally getting TV time but never breaking through as a single star. He had the talent, his matches were consistently good, but Vince just didn't see him as a main event player. By 2015, Gabriel was done. He requested his release from WWE, and the company granted it, ending his 7-year run. But this is where Gabriel's story gets better. After leaving WWE, he started working under the name PJ Black and wrestled in Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor.
Nope. He left. It don't matter.
And Impact Wrestling.
It doesn't matter.
In 2024, he had discussions with WWE about becoming a coach for NXT. Though those talks fell through when WWE was going through its merger with UFC under TKO. He's not a household name, he never main evented WrestleMania, but he's built a career on his own terms. The Nexus story makes you wonder what would have happened if Super Cena didn't bury them at SummerSlam. And speaking of Super Cena, check out this video next about the most OP versions of WWE wrestlers.
Can you name?
You know what? I think I might check out that video, man. I think I might check it out. But like I said earlier on, if this is your first time seeing me on your screen, like the video. If you like this video, subscribe, bro. Subscribe, man. All my girls, y'all stay cute. All my boys, y'all take it easy, man. Hey, I'll see y'all in the next reaction video, man.